Hi, and welcome to the Library Hall update. Now, this includes books that I've been getting for the past month and a little bit. I have this interesting knack of picking books that are always auto-renewed, which becomes very handy because then I have 6 weeks instead of just 3 weeks to get through them. Now, some of these books you will be seeing on December the 25th as part of the book haul video. That was an idea started by the accidental bookseller. So be sure to keep an eye out for all of those videos on December the 25th. Others, I've already either shared the picture in my community posts of when I did my book hauls. I don't always do a video, but one of my new goals, certainly going into 2026, is to go back through all my old book haul videos and talk about where am I at with those books. Have I read them? Have I DNF'd them? What did I think of them? So that will be coming up. But I figured I'd get started with the library books because most of these are going back over the next 4 days. 4 books that I have added to my I want to have my own copy, and this is why I love the public library and it's such an important resource. In my description box, I always say, give a book a test run through your public library. Obviously, when you can, there's a number of books like most of my pagan authors, Starhawk and Mora, Scott Cunningham, who I sadly can't get through my public library here, even though I live in a huge city. But when you can give a book a test run, it's a great idea to try the library. Books that I know I am going to refer back to and I'm going to enjoy the read. I very much want to annotate, and I can't do that with a library book. So, book number 1 is Lost Secrets of the Gods. You can see I have a number of sticky notes. I have a few notes started, but that will definitely be something I go back to over the years. And it's been amazing the number of names that have come up, books that I've been meaning to read that are mentioned in these various articles. So definitely wanting a copy of that. Next, The Vinyl Frontier. This is by Jonathan Scott. The story of the Voyager Golden Record. I've just started it. I know I definitely want a copy of this for myself. The discussion about Carl Sagan, Frank Drake, everyone who was involved in coming up with the idea for the record. There are a number of other names that come up in this book, of course, Timothy Ferris, J. Allen Hynek. It goes through the history of how all these probes even got started, what the motivation was. So I definitely want to have a copy of this and read through all of it. And yes, Carl Sagan is definitely the reason that I became interested in astronomy. I got my first telescope when I was 10, and I have been enjoying that subject and search ever since. And I would have been an astronomer if I didn't suck so much at math and formulas. I just wanted to look at the stars. So, as an amateur astronomer, I can do that. The Close Encounters Man. How One Man Made the World Believe in UFOs. This is by Mark O'Connell. This book is about J. Allen Hynek, an individual who I am very interested in learning more about. Not only was he involved with Project Blue Book, other things, he's just an amazing and interesting man to learn about. I've, again, only gotten a little way in, but I know this is definitely a book that I'll want to refer back to over the years, not just because of Hynek's work with UFOs, but to learn about his other work as well. He was very highly regarded and an amazing individual. The fourth book that I've added to my wanna have a copy list is UFO, the inside story of the US government's search for alien life here and out there. This is by Garrett M. Graf. Now, it looks like a chunky monkey, and part of that's because it is extra large print, which was nice, but I don't need an extra large print. This is published in 2023, so obviously the most up-to-date. What are people talking about? What's going on? I love that the book starts with the radio broadcast of The War of the Worlds, October the 30th, 1938. It talks about how the media hyped the numbers of people that were panicking. Wow, what a surprise. The media not accurate. Where have we seen that before? But he also goes into a number of other things. I've just gotten to the point where he started talking about Roswell. I looked up the author. He's done a number of different books. Very much wanting to read this, and I know I will be annotating it like crazy and referring back to it. On the back, he has a thrilling story of science, Nazi research, secret spy planes, and the space race. UFO traces the history of the US government's hunt for unidentified aerial phenomena here on Earth, as well as the group of forward-thinking scientists who launched the search for extraterrestrial intelligence far from Earth. So he'll be talking about SETI, Project Blue Book, so many different things. He's already touched on why, when he does research into various topics, of course, there's always that issue of classified information, some understandably classified, some just ends up with files that you just can't get your hands on, but it isn't overly sensitive. So this will definitely be an amazing read. Those 4 books can now go back. I've started reading 3 of them, but I already know they're definitely going to be, I want to take my time, read, annotate, process, make notes. Lost Secret of the Gods, I did read front to back. I've got the sticky notes, but I'm definitely waiting to get my own copy, and then I can really delve into that information. Other books that can now go back, Asimov's Second Foundation. I had planned on reading this, but a viewer, thanks Chaz, mentioned that this is not the second book in the series, so I need to look into that, and I'll continue on with Foundation at another point, partly because I already have a ton of books I'm trying to get through. A Brief History of Atlantis, Plato's Ideal State. This is by Stephen P. Kershaw. I was hoping that this was going to be different. I partially got it because of an article in Lost Secrets of the Gods, but it just wasn't for me. He goes into a lot of detail about Plato and some historical stuff, but he's just not getting to Atlantis quick enough for me. So I'll continue on with the other books that I've read. I still need to do my video about Bigfoot. This is by Tom Burnette and Rob Riggs. As you can see, I'll be making some notes, but no, I will not be buying this book, and I'll explain in my review and discussion about it why I won't purchase this new. If I happen to luck into it at my thrift store, but otherwise, no. Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. This is abridged by Vivian French, illustrated by Patrick Benson. Wonderful illustrations. In the front it says this was first published in 1843. Illustrations in this text are the copyright of Vivian French, Patrick Benson, 1992. I picked this up for Ghosts of Christmas Past, an event created by Vin at Revenant Reads. This is my second year co-hosting the event, along with Debs from Rayner Reads, and this year we're joined by Pat from Book Chat with Pat. An event that's very easy to participate in. This year we're reading The Signalman by Charles Dickens. You can read a ghost story of any time period. I also picked up 3 recipe books. This is Truly Simple, and you can see just a few tabs there. The Simple Art of Rice, even fewer tabs. Downshiftology, Healthy Meal Prep. This is by Lisa Bryan. Now, about a year or so ago, I used to follow her channel quite often. She has great ideas, healthy eating. No, it isn't vegan, but yes, there are a number of wonderful meal prep ideas she has to cut down on prep time and ensure that you're eating well. I recently went back to her channel to get the chai pudding recipe that I just made and popped in the freezer. If you're looking for great ideas, I do recommend checking out her channel. I'll leave a link to that down below. The Simple Art of Rice is by J.J. Johnson with Danica Novgorodov. Hope I said that right. I don't tend to eat a whole lot of rice. There's been this ongoing thing about my 5-minute rice from Uncle Ben's versus jasmine, other types of rice. So I thought I would check out some recipes. And then Truly Simple is by Kirsten Cavallari. There were a few recipes that I'll give a try there, but most of the stuff I don't normally eat, and Bob is even a pickier eater than I am, so I know some of the foods may be healthy and nutritious, but if you don't eat them, they're not really good for you, are they? That brings me down to the last 3 books that I'm going to mention in this update. First, Interstellar by Avi Loeb. I enjoyed this read. I got through it fairly quick. I have plenty of sticky notes. Haven't decided whether I'm going to put him on my wish list or not, because it definitely is a book that I could refer to more than once. I enjoyed his writing style. It's simple, easy to understand, but I do know that some people have mentioned watching him speak, he comes across very differently. So I'll have to check out some of the videos, but it was an enjoyable read, and I'll be doing a video about that in the future. I just started Graham Hancock's Visionary, The Mysterious Origins of Human Consciousness. No, I won't be buying this book, one, because I'm not spending $40 on any of Hancock's books. They were pricey before everything went nuts, and yeah, no, not happening. So I'll continue to borrow this from the library until I get my notes and things figured out. This book was previously called Supernatural, so if you have that book, it's the same as this one. There are just a few updates in the introduction that he shares. It's funny, I just on a whim decided to check this out, and I'm doing a buddy read with Alan of A Separate Reality by Carlos Castaneda. Those works are from the 1960s. This work is from 2022, so Hancock and his researchers had plenty of time to figure out Carlos and his work and experiences with peyote and Don Juan, but somehow he's not mentioned in here. This book has to deal with his use of ayahuasca, talking to different shamans, traveling to various locations to learn about the training, the various plants that different people use, and yet somehow no Castaneda. This is why Hancock sometimes irritates me. He's got the resources, as in money and everything else, to do the actual research and include relevant information instead of cherry picking just what he wants to promote. So that's a bit frustrating, and that's why, although I'll eventually read more of it, I don't need a personal copy of his cherry picking work. The last book that I'm going to talk about is From Outer Space to Inner Space. This is by Dr. Edgar Mitchell with Dwight Williams, An Apollo Astronaut's Journey Through the Material and Mystical Worlds. I am aware of Edgar Mitchell. His name comes up in the work by Lynn McTaggart, The Intention Experiment, and The Field. His name has come up in numerous other books that I've read related to a variety of topics. On the back it says, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, a graduate of MIT with a doctorate in aeronautics and astronautics and captain in the Navy, founded the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And that's where Lynn McTaggart's name and others come up. As an astronaut, he was the backup lunar module pilot on Apollo 10 and 16 and flew as lunar module pilot on Apollo 14, where he landed on the moon and became the sixth person to walk on its surface. He spent 35 years studying human consciousness and psychic phenomena in the search for common ground between science and spirit. As I've said, his name has come up in so many of the other books that I have, but this is the first time reading a work that was produced by him. I haven't yet decided whether I'm going to add his name to my want to buy my own copy. I likely will, because so far it has been a very enjoyable read, and I'm going to keep the book out. It's just been auto-renewed, so I'll have a chance to finish all of it, and I'll certainly be talking more about his book and his work in upcoming videos. If you're still here, thank you so much for the gift of your time. Let me know in the comment section, either with the thumbs up. You can let Panther and Tiki know you stopped by leaving a little cat emoji. They always enjoy when there's comments that mention their names for sure. Also, let me know if you have ever read any of the authors that I've talked about. Do you have recommendations of other books that they've written that you've enjoyed? Do you use your public library to give books and authors a test run before you decide to make that purchase? Personally, I find it's a great way to save yourself some money. For instance, with Visionary by Hancock, I do remember looking at this title when I was at Indigo a year or more ago, It was called Supernatural. I hummed and hawed, and now that I've had a chance to peruse it through the library, I'm glad I didn't pick it up, quite frankly. Until next time, remember, you're awesome, and I look forward to connecting with you again.